Yo, what's up guys? This is Marc. Man, we are finally getting caught up with Ultra Vegito starting today. 12 videos per week, no matter what, by Wednesday or not at the end of Wednesday, whatever. There will be 12 videos on Wednesday, okay, no matter what. Definitely the goal is to get 3 videos out, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's the goal. But, I'm still kind of busy and stuff like that. So no matter what, we will have 12 videos by Wednesday. So that's the goal. That's what we're going to go ahead and do. 12 videos per week until we get caught up. So by the end of this month, we should definitely be caught up. And I guess that's about it. One last thing, guys, is this video, I'm trying out something a little bit different. You guys can let me know in the comments if you guys like it or don't. Pretty much, this is going to be a longer video, but you guys can let me know if you guys want this type of thing. If not, if you guys really don't like it, then we'll go back to the way we used to do it and stuff like that. I just want to give this a test, try this out, because I think this will make getting caught up much faster. So you guys can let me know if you guys enjoy it or not. If so, we'll keep doing it until we get caught up. Then we'll be doing one video at a time, or we'll just do one video, at a time type beat, right? So you guys can let me know. Thank you guys. Let's go into the reaction. I'm ready. Let's do this.
So our story continues with our hero Ultra Vegito, now standing exhausted, bruised, bleeding and badly beaten in the aftermath of his latest clash with the Grand Priest, as he just barely standing up would let out, "Well, can't say that went exactly as planned, but the training is definitely paying off. It will be enough, no matter what Lucif says. He isn't invulnerable to me. The Grand Priest is just another angel on my list. Aren't you, Dai?" As shockingly standing there, now visibly damaged, with his clothing for the first time ripped, the Grand Priest, with his sleeve removed, would angrily respond, You dare to defile the royal garb of the priest, clothing handed down since the beginning of time, for the honor of all priests that came before me. I will make you pay 1,000-fold, God Killer! But unfazed by the changing mood of Dai, Vegito would just smirk,
sure is scary,
pointing his fingers while goading. "Upset over that ugly dress of yours? I've seen Chi-Chi wear better to bed. I don't know what kind of fights you've had in the past, but unfortunately for you, when you start messing with the big boys, you expect to get a little dirty. Be happy, all you lost was your sleeve, and not your whole arm, angel." But Dai, almost entertained by the confidence of his mortal foe, would just place his hands behind his back and retort, "Big boys? Are you talking about you 3 mortals? Surely not. How about you drop the bravado and look around you? Does this seem like a battle that is going your way? The sooner you accept reality, the sooner you can reflect on your mistakes for eternity in the demon realm." Before the priest would then begin pointing around to his surroundings, towards the noise coming from the other battles taking place, mentioning with a devious look, Each of you have struggled, toiled and bled tears of rage for this moment, mimicking the power of gods, learning and attempting our abilities while simultaneously hoping for our deaths, like a bunch of misled hypocrites. In the end though, all you are learning is that mortals imitating are just that. Vegeta is meeting his end currently against the true god of destruction, hand selected by Beerus himself. And Zeno's friend, Son Goku, is learning all too well at the hands of GT that only a student of mine can ever hope to master the Seraphim. And only gods need apply. Without me, he is little more than a fraud. And you are no different, except you are cosplaying as a demon. But I'll tell you now, you are no Lucif. As in the background, both Goku and Vegeta would be shown.
Damn, they're getting folded right now, man. Yeah.
And for once, it wouldn't be the words of the God Killer that run deep, but instead, dies that trigger Vegito immediately. As gritting his teeth, he would grumble. No matter what the situation, you can't seem to look past how inferior you see us mortals. You really think we're trying to be you? You really think I want anything to do with that damn brother of yours who invaded my body without me asking? I'll tell you now, Vegeta may not be a destroyer, and Kakarot may not be an angel, but I am definitely no Lucif. I am Vegito! As roaring into the sky with a chip on his shoulder to prove his worth to the cocky god, Vegito would brush away all his injuries and exhaustion, pushing his power level even further above, as lightning and debris from the ground shoots up and surrounds him. I'll make you respect the power of us mortals! As with his palm outstretched, Vegito, no longer being able to suffer any more of Dai's words, would shoot straight forward. So fast and with such fury, even the lightning around him would struggle to keep up. Say hello to some old friends, twerp! As on approach, suddenly Vegito's eyes would begin glowing, as if unleashing an old technique we haven't seen from the God Killer in a good while. Welcome to the new 5 strongest in the multiverse! As instantly, in a shock move, Vegito would appear now, surrounded by 4 members of the 5 strongest, all slain and absorbed by himself, bringing back Guts, Madara, Yamoshi, and Makoto, with notably just one member, the 5th and strongest member of the 5, missing in action, with apparently the God Killer taking his place, as Vegito would yell, "Tell me, Dai, as much as you look down on our kind, did you ever anticipate to face a Saiyan commanding 5 gods at once?" What? Zeno, have mercy! What are you doing? Leaving Dai completely shell-shocked, as he, for the first time, sees in person one of the God Killer's most fearsome techniques. Seeing the acclaimed 5 strongest that the priest had watched and once even been a part of, now approaching towards him in offense. But even Dai would notice something was off, as he mutters, "The new 5 strongest? Wait, where is he? Where is Light?" as almost appearing like the boogeyman on mentioning his name. In an instant, behind the priest, the fifth, Light, would fly straight behind with his teeth gritted and ready to attack his predecessor. But as the mindless energy apparition would then launch an attack at Dai, the superior priest would almost instinctively dodge immediately, as he would comment, Light, it pains me to see you like this, but it seems he cannot wield your true strength at least. Do not worry, I will free you from this beast soon enough. As in counter, Dai would then pull his arm back, ready to eviscerate Light's likeness. What? But before he can do a thing, the apparition of Light would immediately place its own palm out and remind us of one very unique technique, the fifth hand, specifically against pure angel energy. As Dai immediately, just like Seraphim Goku did in the past, would then be frozen still in place. What is this? This mortal can utilize your divine techniques also! Instantly enraging Dai, not only with the situation, but also the sheer ridiculous abilities the God Killer has in his possession. But his anger towards Vegito would prove actually to be the least of his concerns, as while Dai would yell, above, Madara, the second of the 5 strongest, would be right above the now vulnerable Daishinkan, with both his hands clenched together, ready to attack Dai. But that would not be all that would be happening either.
Oh, wow.
As using his own long-forgotten ocular abilities, his own unique eyes would activate, disorientating and paralyzing even further than what Light had already managed on Dai until... Within Dai's own pupils, his Seraphim would be removed, and in its place, the same eyes of Madara would be mirrored back, signaling the trance he had now been trapped in, as he would just mutter with all his might, Madara! You couldn't! And with perfect precision, possibly for the first time ever in the second's life, Madara would land flush, both arms, for a devastating impact on the priest. So hard that as Dai's head would snap down, blood would shoot out of his regal mouth. But not before his eyes would also return to normal in that instant. Jumping back quickly, having broken from the debilitating abilities after impact, and with most haste, now realizing that Vegito's control over the 5 strongest was more than just vision. And now worse for wear, completely unseen for the Grand Priest,
man, you okay?
Dai would be clenching his fist while trembling as he stabilizes himself, and would mutter, This cannot be! How could this Saiyan take control of gods on the level of the 5? And all at the same time? This cannot be allowed to go on any lot. But with wide eyes, it wouldn't be long before Dai is forced to look to his side in despair as... You two! approaching at lightning quick speeds and already within touching distance with their dual blades unsheathed. Guts and Makoto would be right near the still double disorientated priest until...
Whoa!
In a truly shocking sight, almost blasphemous even, the former fifth of the five strongest is impaled by the first and fourth. Both straight through the torso, ripping up all, if any, internal organs, as the completely shell-shocked Dai would just look down to the ground in disbelief, muttering, This is not happening! This must be an illusion! But in the distance, another member of the five in energy apparition form would be seen, ready to prove this is unfortunately no dream. As with a gruesome roar, this time, the legendary first Super Saiyan God Yamoshi would be seen, powering in signature fashion on the tips of his fingers his most powerful energy attack, as the concentrated ball of energy would grow larger and larger until... the gigantic beam would expand instantaneously and be at Dai's doorstep within nanoseconds, with the energy apparition version of Yamoshi giving it his all as if it were the God Killer he was facing yet again. Yamoshi! How? As still unable to get over his disbelief of what he was seeing and feeling, Dai's eyes would just struggle to close as his face would be lost further and further within the luminance of Yamoshi's beam. And ultimately, in a gigantic explosion worthy of being caused by a member of the five, Dai would be well and truly struck, along with both Guts and Makoto, who had impaled him still. Well, would you look at that? Leaving Vegito finally now back with a smirk on his face, as with his fist resting on his hip, he would watch on at the destruction and think, sometimes I forget just how formidable the five really were. Their strength laid in more than just their power levels. Those techniques of theirs will come in handy plenty against these lords. As we would then look on where Dai had been struck, and observe nothing but rising ashy smoke all over the screen. It would seem unclear just what state the priest would be in, or whether he was still engaged with the other two members of the five who had stabbed him. But shockingly, it wouldn't be long after that we would get our answer, as like two giant lifeless rocks, the bodies of Makoto and Guts would then fall to the ground motionless, and it wouldn't seem as if they were due to Yamoshi's attack. And soon enough, each of the energy apparitions, now utterly defeated, would then begin to erase back to nothingness. Surprising Vegito as he begins to notice the fading, beaten bodies also, which he would soon reveal should not have been affected by his plans, as he lets out, "What's the meaning of this? These energy apparitions aren't supposed to be damaged by attacks from each other. Did that midget dispose of them before he got hit?" But as the God Killer would wander, above the cloud of smoke, the apparition of the second, Madara, would remain silently grunting, watching over where his victim lay. But it seems the partially sentient apparition from his view would begin to notice all is not as it seems from within the smoke. Instantly left shocked, frozen, helpless, as in a flash, from within the smoke, a beam of concentrated cyan energy would reach his face. And just like that, completely decapitated and erased is the skull of Madara, including his ocular technique like it were nothing, leaving his headless body to just remain there still, ready to eviscerate away, just like Guts and Makoto. And in the next scene, that is exactly what we would see, as the lifeless body begins to crumble. And in the distance, this too would be noticed by Yomoshi, who in his mindless state can only grunt in panic with his eyes wide open and sweating before another cyan beam would shoot straight out, and as if with a vendetta against all limbs that had damaged the priest, the beam would cut straight
how did the
through
Grand Priest
the
even,
arms
like,
of Yomoshi in the
not really how he
process, too.
survived that, but like, man, that's crazy.
Damn you! As soon the God Killer would realize too, his last attack may not have been as successful as he first thought, with Vegito in a panic state yelling out, "He's cutting through the 5 like they're nothing! Those energy apparitions are as strong as the real deal! Don't tell me he's..." Before instantly, Vegito, now figuring out what would be inevitably coming next, would swipe his arm in anger, looking at his final apparition in the air and yelling, "Light! Don't just dawdle! Control his energy now! Hold him in place before he fires again!" And hearing this at first, the orders would be hard to follow by the mysterious clone. But sure enough, Light would oblige and spread his palms out once more, aimed at the smoke, attempting to hold Dai and his pure angel energy still once more. Perfect! Now hold on tight! I'm ending this in a flash! As after
Boy, is he gonna do
shouting
the
out
final
commands,
flash?
the God Killer would immediately then stretch out his own arms from side to side, as crackling and ferocious aura begins to surround his body along with dancing lightning. And from the hint of his words, only one signature technique from the Prince of All Saiyans would be being prepared. And as more and more energy would concentrate along with the God Killer's body, tensing and stretching further, finally, with perhaps a naive smirk on his face again, he would giggle. It's fine. It's all under control. As long as Light's ability work on these guys, both Dai and GT are finished. I'll leave the fake Kakarot for the boys. Brace yourself, midget. This is the end. But as Vegito would spout this, despite Light's effort, another beam of energy would begin shooting out. But this one would curiously appear slightly different. And as if acutely knowing exactly what was happening, despite his mildlessness, the apparition of Light would just mutter, "Die." Until out of nowhere, in a truly instantaneous speed, the cyan beam would be revealed to be the priest himself. Still alive, hardly any more damage than before, but clearly now taking things far more serious, as while looking deep into the fifth's lifeless eyes, as if addressing an old friend, Dai would say, "Light, you were a danger back when I first appointed you as my successor, and it seems, even in death, you remain one. I will make sure your energy never returns to this realm." As now shockingly revealing him not only topless, but with dual wings released, Dai would place his palm out, now in front of Light, ready to put an end to the final member of the five in record time. Please. As in the final moments of the apparition's reappearance in the living world, his final words would seem ambiguous as to whether he was begging to stay or begging to be put out of his misery. And now, with his more muscular look more visible, the priest looking down with his seraphim eyes back would just utter out, "Divine erasure!" As in some sort of angelic Hakai, no beam of light or energy would come forth to smite Light, but instead, instantly, his body would erase there and then, like his energy was being lost forever. Oh, he broke through Light's technique! Surprising Vegito, who continues to power his final flash, who only then begins to realize the changes in Dai's form also, as he comments, "And what's this? Now, just like Kakarot, you two have wings! I guess this means you've powered up once again for little old me, Dai. But I'm afraid it's a little too late!" As Vegito would then place his palms together, forward and final would begin letting out the first half of his famed attack's name, as the energy would begin fluxing all around until Hakai!
Oh, final Hakai.
Combining his destruction energy into it, the final flash would become a final Hakai that shoots straight towards the priest with unimaginable speed, having traveled so far in a blink of an eye, it would almost seem like a needle at the tip when looked from behind Vegito's shoulder. And testament to its speed, as Dai would turn around, right in his face would be the actual humongous bulbous end of the destructive attack. But with his new form and wings activated, the level of speed and movement increase that Dai Shinken would now possess would cause Dai to hardly even have a hint of panic, not even saying a thing before, as if showing off, Dai would not only dodge and move around the powerful beam in close proximity, but would also twirl around it as he moves forward. At such speed, it would barely be differentiated from moving straight forward to the naked eye. What the? And with the God Killer already having his view obscured by his own energy beam, he would be completely taken off guard by Dai's near instantaneous appearance before him until... In almost one continuous movement from his flight, Dai would then quickly transition to brutally punching Vegito straight across the face with his left arm, sending the God Killer's head snapping to the side as he is then launched to the ground, while his powerful final Hakai, containing huge amounts of energy, would be seemingly wasted. being let go and traveling high into the sky, into the unknown. A waste that is, until Dai inexplicably would raise his hand, looking down confidently, and then utters, Angelic Reverse! As on mentioning of his all-new technique, Vegito's beam, on his command, would change trajectory immediately and U-turn back to the God Killer. But completely unbeknownst of this, Vegito would just be on one knee and one arm grunting, with one eye open, as with his teeth gritted, he would struggle to even recover from Dai's last punch, as he would note,
That priest! His power and speed has gone through the roof! That's for sure. If that strike was any stronger, it would have took my head off! I need to do something about this! I need to...
But as Vegito would take a moment to try and conjure up a counter strategy, he would soon realize his surrounding area getting incredibly bright, while his shadow just gets darker
this is
and
not
darker,
looking good, bro.
slowly lifting his head up before...
What?
Face to face with the God Killer would be his own signature final Hakai, and with little time to do anything now with how close it is, inevitably, and ironically, in a flash, Ultra Vegito would be met with a gigantic explosion of pure destruction, his entire essence vanishing in its light as the entire battlefield begins to vibrate and shake on the unexpected impact. If this attack was meant to defeat Dai, just what hope does Vegito have? And speaking of Dai, in the sky with his pure white wings, looking more divine than ever before, he would watch over the destruction of the God Killer, satisfyingly never having to even launch an energy beam of his own down. As with his seraphim eyes glowing in full brightness now, as if trying to look through the smoke, Dai would eagerly look down and say, Huh. Well, what a surprise. I guess you were right, God Killer. It is a little too late. I can sense your energy fleeting, Vegito. Show me, just how many pieces has your fragile mortal body blown up into? And as we look deep into the thick smoke, Dai's prediction would seem plausible, as not a trace nor shadow can be observed until finally, a glimpse at least of half of Vegito's face would be seen. And at first, it almost appears like he has survived with not much change, with his black head, true demon state still intact. That would be before it is finally shown that Vegito has now actually reverted back to base, completely damaged from the blast, on his knees still.
I mean, he does have Goku and Vegeta
having
inside,
used the
right?
last of his energy just to survive. As with his bleeding body barely able to move anymore, he would look to Dai and say,
That was not something I expected from you. You speak of us using your abilities, but in the end, you used my own to defeat me. Even in the last moments, you gods will never fail to be hypocrites.
But Dai, who would now be smirking wildly at Vegito's outclassing, would just respond, You should feel honored that I even wielded such a pathetic attack of yours, even momentarily. But truth be told, I'm surprised it had that much of an effect on you. How unbefitting of the mortal considered Lucif's next vessel. What he saw in you I will never know. But this battle is now over. No! Vegito, you're done already? But the sound of the God Killer down and out once more would bring Zeno to tears yet again, as just when he thought his show could carry on, Dai would bring the curtains down in an instant.
Zeno!
And as Vegito would struggle and fail to try and rise even a little bit more off his knee, he would grumble, replying to the Omni King.
As much as I want that little freak dead, it kinda feels bad to let him down. Is this really all that's left for me?
It is all that is left for you, God Killer. As now arriving on the ground right beside Vegito, Dai would interrupt and say, I'm sorry to let you down, Lord Zeno, but no matter how many times he tries to return, he always comes to disappoint. These sayings are always just talk, as most mortals are. Unfortunately, our God Killer here will never live up to your expectations, just as I told you before, when he first bluffed about this new form. Before Dai would then turn behind towards the other Saiyans and continue. If it pleases you though, my lord, once I'm finished sending this one down to the demons, I will play with your friend Son Goku for a little while longer, until you are satisfied. Maybe he will be able to change his hair color.
Huh? What's going on?
As hearing themselves being mentioned, first Goku and then Vegeta would soon turn and notice the situation arising with Vegito. Just like last time, but with the two struggling themselves and badly beaten. Their panic would be on another level, as Goku would then yell, "Oh no! Vegito's back in base! He must be in trouble again! Vegeta! We still have time though! We need to do something!" And Vegeta, still grabbing his arm in pain, would angrily reply,
That damn fool! Forget trying to help. Let's just fly straight into him. If he doesn't want to fuse, we'll force it. This plan of his is not working. Come, Kakarot! Stop right there!
But shockingly,
Oh, wow.
with what little energy he has left, Vegito would wildly just yell back with a clenched fist, defiantly,
You do nothing. Nothing but carry on your battles like I told you to. I said you could join when you'd finished them off, and neither of you have come close. This is my battle and my death to bear. Joining will make no difference. Who do you think you weaklings are compared to me?
leaving both Goku and Vegeta now stunned with the God Killer's reply. As now left near speechless, the prince would just mutter out,
What is this clown saying?
but there would hardly be much time for the duo of Saiyans to reflect on those words anymore, let alone disagree in any way, as both GT and Destroyer Goku would then continue their assault regardless. They may have been easy to get away from previously, but in their current states, it would be them who call the shots. Dai, of course, though, hearing this nonsensical interaction between the mortals, would just laugh, as he comments, "And yet again, this foolish Saiyan pride strikes, refusing help while on your knees. A novel strategy, I'll give you that, God Killer. But it will elicit no less punishment. As the priest would then slowly begin walking forward to Vegito, step by step. Confusing Vegito momentarily, as the Saiyan would try his best to pull his head up until... What? His efforts would be made in vain.
What?
As disrespectfully, Dai would then just place his foot on the head of the God Killers, holding it down as the weakened Vegito would just be forced to do nothing back. As Dai, pushing harder and harder, would devilishly smirk, looking down and let out, "You see, mortal, this is your fate. The fate you had always had since birth. To be under the foot of the gods who watch over you. This is reality, and no matter what you do, how much power you steal, how much of an abomination you turn into, in the end, a mortal will never truly surpass the gods." And Vegito, taking in these words and the severity of the situation, with simply no more strength left within him to rebel, would then begin to reflect.
He's right. What was this all for? All the gods I killed, the power I absorbed, the people I hurt. Why wasn't it enough? What was this all for?
It was for nothing, God Killer! And quickly to add insult to injury, Dai would not even let Vegito finish his thoughts, continuing now, looking more demonic than angel. All those gods and angels you killed were nothing more than creations of Zeno and I. When you're gone, we will simply appoint more in replacement, more than likely far stronger than their predecessors, and without the same millennia of wisdom. I would not be surprised if they were even more callous in their treatment of the mortals. All you did was make things far worse for everyone. Your friends remain dead, and you remain a disgrace to your kind. Your family, not even just dead, are actually erased. Erased forever. Trapped in a void of nothingness for eternity. Find some solace only in that your children will never grow up to see the monster their father became. A murderer, a ruiner of timelines, and a sad excuse for a man who could not even keep a promise to bring them back. And with that, Vegito would be left speechless, as his head ducks further down until his face and emotional expression is just lost in darkness. These final words seem to have been the final blow for the God Killer's morale. But curiously, as his head would bow, black lightning would begin to emerge, and eventually even singe the bottom of Dai's trousers in the process. And Dai would take notice with some surprise, as he notices something building within the God Killer. Behind him unknowingly though, at this point, his whole background would become pitch black. What? What magic is this now? But with his instincts, with his foot still on Vegito's head, he would soon look around confused, trying to figure out what was going on. Until he would look up and... No! You! His seraphim eyes would disappear entirely in shock, as looking above Vegito, inexplicably, a far scarier sight would be seen. behind Vegito in the darkness, the devil himself would appear with a beaming smile. No longer chained, it would seem, with his blood-red eyes piercing into Dai's soul. Lucif! And immediately the priest would tremble, recognizing once more his brother, who he had thought was defeated by his smite. What? But there would be no time whatsoever to think, as in an instant, the giant creature would then grab onto the exposed wing of the priest, as if he were a common bird, until...
I told you, midget. I told you it was too late, brother!
As suddenly screaming with strength, pushing away Dai's foot with his head alone, Vegito would reveal himself with a demonic voice and scream, with his right eye blackened now and clearly using Lucif's power yet again, while his left side is left with a blank eye as if having gone berserk.
Whoa!
And in brutal fashion, Lucif would then immediately act and rip the divine angel's wing straight from Dai, leading to the almighty god to let out his greatest and most pain-ridden scream of his entire existence. It seems the God Killer is not out of this battle just yet, but at what cost?
Guys, that was crazy. Dude, that was a fun episode, man. I'll be honest, that was a really fun episode. I think I'm thinking of giving this maybe a 9.6 right now. I'm sure we'll get the 10 pretty soon. But man, that was a pretty fun episode, man. I had a good couple of laughs and stuff like that. That was nice, man. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. We're gonna do it right after this one. That was fun, bro. Things are starting to get interesting, guys. It is. So let's get to it.
You didn't! So our story continues with the truly stunning scene of the father of all angels now grimacing in pain and anger as his divine white angel wing is ripped clean off from his left side. As he just stares, as his never before seen in such volumes blood blasts out in response and onto the ground. Lucif! And almost in slow motion, as the blood of his wing sprays across in front of his line of sight, with a furious but also damage-ridden look, he would look to his elder brother and let out, How do you keep returning? What is it you want, you demon? To which the devil himself, Lucif, would just let out a horrific laughter in response.
He does look scary though, I'll be honest.
As blood from Dai too moves slowly across his face, and with his grin wide, he would reply,
You know all too well what I want, little brother. As for how I am back, you should learn to listen to your elders better. I told you already. The God Killer would seek my power again, eventually die. Now, to finish...
But just as Lucif's confidence in the situation would grow wildly, it would soon be kept on a leash as the demonic entity notices something is amiss.
Hold it right there, you freak!
As Vegito, grabbing onto his skull in pain.
Vegito is
as if
powerful, man.
suffering
He's
from
able
a
to control
headache
this dude.
would
What?
open his new demon eye and look to Lucif, announcing,
I don't seek anything of you. All you are is my tool. And guess what? You've served your purpose now.
as instantly, to the shock of Lucif, and indeed everyone else around, Vegito would then open his eye wide with a scream of anguish as his teeth would clench together, and Lucif would immediately be disfigured to nothing more than a swirl of energy as he is taken back into Vegito and through the demon eye he possesses, while the elder brother of Dai would just yell,
You fool! What do you think you're doing? I'm taking back control.
as finally then closing his eyes as the final bit of Lucif seeps back in like a Mafuba. Vegito would have successfully entrapped Lucif once more as he grips tighter onto his forehead as the pain presumably intensifies. And with the pressure of Lucif gone, and perhaps now truly feeling the effect of losing his wings so violently, Dai would then himself fall to his knees, confused at what had just happened, as he questions,
What? What did I just see? Lucif, he was there.
now his presence is completely gone.
This mortal,
Did he somehow seal him away by himself? But as Dai would theorize how Lucif would be gone, the gruesome noises and grunts coming from Vegito would suggest otherwise. As with his teeth becoming sharper and more bearish with time, blood would begin to seep from his mouth. And soon, black lightning too would begin to spontaneously appear around his body, while his head ducks down, and one of his bangs on the right side would appear to begin to grow longer than the other. Soon enough,
Oh, is he
his whole body would
transforming?
then begin to tense as he
Okay.
grumbles even more and they begin to intensify. First with his backside pulsating, then his chest beginning to pop veins before flexing his arms out in front. The black lightning bolts would get larger and more defined until the God Killer's hair would begin to rise of its own volition, as if being blasted by a torrent of wind from below, as his power level returns to its previous point all at once, and even goes further beyond. And as the roars continue to rise, the earlier mentioned bang would now shoot out in length, as the right side of his hair would also turn from black to a dark red, increasingly getting wilder too in styling, but all on just the one side. But what would come next would be far more
Oh,
shocking.
he's that eye
As
now?
slowly but surely, as if a scalpel was cutting across his flesh, a mysterious slit would appear on Vegito's forehead. But the changes would go even
Definitely a
further.
long
As
transformation.
now on the God Killer's right arm, a curious black flame would begin to envelop his arm in all directions, circling and increasing in magnitude as time goes on. until finally, the true combination of all these changes is seen in what appears like an all-new form for the God Killer, as pure raging energy and destruction overflows from his body as he powers up, with his right side now showing a number of changes, from the longer crimson red hair, the demonic red and black eye, and now with the black flame solidifying into an oversized, bulky arm, almost as if ripped straight off from Lucif himself. And not just that, but in the middle of Vegito's forehead would now be the third eye open, just like the demon too. All the while, his left eye would mysteriously remain closed. Huh? What now? What has he done to himself? With the truly strange and one-sided transformation immediately then eliciting a reaction of pure disbelief and confusion from the Daishinkan, with the priest continuing, "This presence? No! Why does it feel like Lucif again? That arm too! Do not tell me this mortal is somehow taking over brother's body instead! New form! Wow! I love it! But on the other end of the spectrum, Zeno would be losing his mind in happiness, it seems, as with tears literally overflowing from his eyes, creating waterfalls, the ecstatic Omni King would scream, "So this is your new form? It's so cool! It looks like only one side has changed though. Is there more to show me?" But the God Killer, in this all-new Lucif-infused state, would still be grunting like a beast, perhaps from the pain of withholding Lucif within, or just from his pure hatred for the gods, as he would reply,
You damn spoiled child! This is always going to be a joke to you, but you just wait and see. At least you've got an eye for detail. This is not my complete form. I have a little further to go still. Further to go still? You mean more of my energy to steal?
as suddenly from inside Vegito's mind,
Are they having
who would
arguments,
now
bro?
appear to be
Like-
chained up once more, would be furious at Vegito for unleashing him, only to take him back in moments later. As with the veins bulging all over his body, he would scold,
Just what the hell do you think you're doing? Are you trying to die? Do you not care about revenge anymore? What these gods did to you? Quit fooling around, taking half of my energy. Just get the job done. Without me, you are nothing, mortal. Nothing. Shut it.
but the God Killer, not being one to be spoken down to, even by the devil himself, would indignantly respond,
Nothing without you? Who exactly is trapped in chains right now, you clown? You're the one who chose my body. You're the one who chose to keep your power within me. Now shut up when I choose to use it as I want. I don't need all of your power. Half is enough. The other half I'll get from someone else. What? Someone else?
This comment, of course, leaving all of us, including Lucif, utterly perplexed, as we wonder what Vegito could even mean, with Lucif inquiring,
You must have lost your damn mind. I am the great power that has saved you countless times. Who else is there, you petulant Saiyan?
But the answer would seemingly be coming sooner than expected, as from behind him, a mysterious yet familiar voice would begin laughing in a very Vegito-esque manner, almost God-killer-like.
So you're the great
Okay, let's go,
Lucif.
Vegito. Okay.
What? Who are you?
As shockingly, the figure behind would be revealed to be a smirking Gogeta with his eyes closed, walking confidently forward ahead of Lucif. As he would then eventually say, his eyes still not open, replying,
Who am I? I guess you could think of me as Vegito's better-looking brother. We're pretty similar, except for one difference. One power that he'll need to even out all that dirty, evil energy you're pouring into him. Use the Seraphim wisely, Vegito!
as suddenly, Gogeta would open his eyes
Guess that
to
makes
reveal
sense, right?
dual Seraphim now activated, having gone a step further than the one eye he had previously. And with him being right in Vegito's consciousness now, the intended result is clear.
Dude, that was crazy. That actually looks kind of cool, right?
Ready for you, die!
As with his final card now shown, Vegito would enter what is presumably his completed state now. With his Seraphim Eye now activated on his left, the third eye now split down the middle to both Demon and Angel, while the Demon Eye
Yeah, that's
remains
crazy.
on his right
That's a
side.
crazy form.
All with the Black Devil's arm now flexing in the air as an all-encompassing aura of red and blue surrounds his body in all directions. Ultra Vegito has now finally become a true Nephilim. And when we zoom in on his face, the changes are far more clear and visible. As with his most intimidating look thus far in the series, he would call out,
What's wrong, Angel? You seem different now. Your scary older brother is gone. So how about you try and put that foot back on my head again? Let's see if you don't walk away a cripple this time. What are you?
as Dai now reacting to all the changes in Vegito, including his own Seraphim technique, would then finally let out, This Saiyan, he has taken control of Lucif's power on one side, and utilizing the Divine Seraphim on the other. How do all these mortals know my teachings? This would mean he's a... Wow! But before the priest could put the pieces together of realizing Vegito had become half demon, half angel, aka a Nephilim,
Yeah, Nephilim.
Zeno
Okay,
would be
gotcha.
intrigued once more, yelling, So this is your final form then? It's not that different to before, but I like the blue and red. Can you make green like I said though? But Vegito, who can barely stomach any more conversation with the Omni King, would then reply,
How ungrateful, Zeno! But don't worry. This is still not all that I can pull out. I'm just trying my best not to have to resort to it. but I will show you under one condition.
As behind the God Killer, the source of that extra transformation would be clear, as Lucif remains in the bylines as Vegito's endgame if all goes wrong. Huh? Condition? But for one of the first times in his long life, not getting what he asked for, Zeno would be confused. Teetering on the verge of perhaps switching moods, he would inquire, "What do you mean? What do you want? I don't like rules, you know." But perhaps in a disrespectful move, Vegito in his new form would display he could care less, as he immediately powers up a black ball of pure demonic energy within the palm of his hand, yelling back,
"I'll tell you once, I'm done slaughtering your angel!"
As immediately after, with his oversized arm in tow, almost amplifying the attack, a plane-shaking blast would be let out, aimed straight at the Grand Priest, who still would be taking in the shock of seeing a Nephilim in the flesh. These mortals! But as the gigantic blast would ravage the ground below, Dai would eventually
How is Goku and
react,
Vegeta still kicking it? Right?
activating
Like,
his
they should have
seraphim
been defeated
eyes,
by now. I'll
with
be
both
honest.
beginning
Like,
to
yeah.
glow. And with perfect timing and speed, Dai would then jump, shooting straight up as the blast would approach, and then eventually clear it, rising above with his one wing as the powerful blast rips past underneath like a speeding train. And as he would fly high into the sky, he would briefly look down and think, that blast was no ordinary attack. That was Lucif's energy, for better or worse. I don't understand how, but Vegito has somehow mentally overpowered even my elder brother. But he will not overpower me! But just as Dai would make that conviction, he would soon be stopped in his tracks as a shocking sight would come into view of his seraphim eyes.
Now where do you think you're going, punk?
As shockingly, in an instant, Vegito would appear in front of Dai's face, leaving the angel to mutter, His speed, he can catch up to me now! Which the smirking God Killer would just reply goadingly,
Of course I'd be as fast as you, Die. We're both seraphim users, aren't we? In fact, I think mine are a little better.
as suddenly opening all eyes wide, a strange air pressure would be created from his killer intent alone that forces out Paul. Why you? And this pressure would not be for nothing, as suddenly even Dai is pushed straight back down using the Nephilim's eyes, as he closes his own and grimaces, trying to fly back up. What is this? But ultimately, the strength of Vegito's will is too much, and Dai would actually then fall back into the path of the energy beam from before, which continues to blast non-stop like a never-ending roller coaster. And in the end, when the priest would inevitably crash backside first onto the blast,
Damn,
the
that must
damage
hurt.
would be intense, as if being shocked on an electrified fence. Dai would practically be completely fried as the demonic beam would burn across the flesh of his spine.
What is this? This impure energy! It's his!
As on impact, his truly pain-stricken and ridden countenance would confirm all his fears, as the power now being exerted was one in the same with Lucif's, as the burn of the energy soon elicits nostalgia from Dai. While meanwhile, floating in the sky with a smirk and his hand on his hip, the God Killer would just comment condescendingly,
Look at you, frying in the light. You're like a one-winged mosquito right now. I'm not quite sure why you keep fixating on this power being Lucif's. He is part of me, and so this power is mine now. What's surprising is just how easily you're being outclassed with only half of his energy. Just how much stronger is your brother than you, Dai? Silence!
But as the priest would begin pulling his arms and legs off the beam, like a rat caught on a glue trap, his fury at Vegito's words would begin to show itself until...
Angelic reverse!
Unleashing his divine technique once more from the last chapter, as he thrusts his arm forward with his palm fiercely aimed at the God Killer. And in response, just like before, the beam, which would now be miles off in the distance, would begin lifting off the ground, before completely taking a U-turn and changing trajectory straight towards its initial origin. And with the power and speed of the beam, it would be in a literal nanosecond that it would be straight within the God Killer's vicinity.
My oh my! I forget how strong I am sometimes.
But the face of Vegito would show no fear nor worry, just a blatant teeth-baring smile before... The God Killer would pull back his demonic
is he
arm,
gonna deflect
the
it?
same
Is he gonna
one
punch it?
that
Is he gonna
gave
absorb
birth
it? I'm kinda
to the
curious.
very beam rushing towards him. And with
He did
one
just
swipe
deflect it,
that
okay.
hardly looks like it exerted any effort at all, Vegito's new form would smack away the beam that just caused Dai so many problems, like it was a mere fly, as the God Killer would comment cockily,
And yet again, I guess I really don't know how strong I am.
But as the beam would dissipate from Vegito's sight in front, from behind, another danger would emerge, as Dai, with his body readied offensively, would yell back, "Overestimate your strength all you want, but your overconfidence will always be your downfall!" And following through, the Grand Priest would then sucker kick Vegito from behind, sending the God Killer careering away. But not for long, before Vegito would almost immediately then regain himself in the air. Before, with a smirk complimenting Dai,
Ooh, look at that! Seems you still have something in the tank after all. Good, because I haven't even begun to test how much energy I have overflowing through my body.
and Dai, who would be increasingly frustrated by Lucif's takeover, would reply, "Power you stole from the greatest evil himself. Have you no shame? Your pride is what stops you from allowing him to escape fully. Just know, if you do allow him to take over, you would have unleashed a far greater threat to all of creation than whatever you believe us gods to have. If you wish to gloat over me, defeat me with your own strength."
Stop with your mind games, you coward! I know you're afraid, but this is all I'll need for you anyway!
Don't misunderstand, mortal! Whatever you do, on my name as the Dai Shinken, I will make sure Lucif is back where he belongs! As the two powerhouses, now apparently back on equal levels, would then fire straight at each other, with vigor surrounded by balls of pure energy until... with a truly seismic clash, the
I feel like that
human-like
hand really
arm of
reminds
the
me of
angel
Zamasu's hand.
would
I
collide
just now started
directly
thinking about
with
that.
the humongous in comparison demon arm, both circled by their own distinct opposite energy, ultimately creating an explosion of incomparable dimensions as a
The way it
result,
looks like a nuke.
instantly creating a gigantic mushroom cloud of thick, dark smoke, rising into the air as giant black thunder and lightning would spontaneously form all around in addition. And in the surroundings, shockwaves of pure energy and wind pressure would be seen all over the battlefield too, destroying what little is left of Zeno's palace.
Vegito! What now?
And the effects of their battle would go even further, to eventually cause the other powerhouses on the battlefield to stop in their tracks, as both Goku, GT, Vegeta, and Destroyer Goku would all pause mid-flight as wind and debris smashes all across their bodies and faces.
Vegeta!
But with panic, Goku would look to his fellow Saiyan and call out, "Whoa! Look at him now! Vegito changed again! What kind of form is that?" To which Vegeta, with a far more serious face, would stare at the God Killer and respond,
I don't know, but that's not just a true demon form anymore. I think that might be Lucif. I just hope that clown knows what he's doing.
And in the aftermath, Dai and the God Killer would be left with a massive crater, standing on flat ground, leveled beneath their immense strength, as dust and smoke continues to wade across, with Dai standing tall, unfazed, looking straight at Vegito and proclaiming, "As I said, I only warn you of being lost to Lucif, as you claim to be the savior of mortals. But I can assure you, my elder brother is not known as the one true devil for no reason. And there are countless mortals still alive that will all be lost if he ever returns. Consider it friendly advice, but I have no qualms eliminating you, Lucif, or anyone else. You are all just demonic scum that will be lost under the power of the one true angel. Blah, blah, blah. But Vegito, not taking any of this serious, would just tense his muscles further, readying to continue the battle as he quips.
Can you stop mentioning your brother for 1 second, Die? Keep your incestuous relationship to yourself and get a room. I know exactly what I'm doing and what risk I'm taking. I may be thousands of years younger than you, but I'm no child. And if you so fear what would happen if I truly let Lucif free, then either kill me quick or just die before I have to!
Okay, makes sense.
Demon Slicer!
As out of nowhere, unable to hear any more, Vegito would then launch from his devil arm a blood-red energy attack that cuts through the air at untold speeds. And only when at point-blank range would Die suddenly notice something peculiar, commenting, That's brother's move! As inexplicably, using his Seraphim abilities, Die would then manage to simply phase straight through the
that's what
attack
happened. I was
at the
wondering
last
what just
moment,
happened.
leaving the energy scythe to cut through the air and into the far distance.
Those damn eyes again, huh? Fine!
But this would hardly dissuade the Godkiller, who, still smirking, would swiftly then blast forward regardless. Raising his arm point blank above the priest and yelling while looking down,
Show me that ability again! Something tells me it doesn't work close up!
as within the palm of his demon hand, a ball of pure destruction would be formed in the most concentrated of fashions. You may have my eyes, but you know nothing of my abilities! As Die, while glowing his seraphim eyes, would then place the tips of his hands together once more before... Divine Smite!
What?
As instantly, within the palm of Vegito's arm, Die would no longer need to dodge or phase through at all, as the Godkiller's energy ball itself is completely eviscerated, damaging his palm partially in the process. And though Vegito would give away a now signature giggle, when he and all of us look down at his arm, we would see that it has become deformed into a black sludge. As he would comment,
I swear it's just like the Zamasu on
Seems
bro.
your
Tell me.
smite works extra well when it comes in contact with a demon arm like this. I better watch out, eh?
but as he would then lift up his arm, as if the goo was similar to a certain margins, it would begin to reform back to normal with ease, as the Godkiller would then continue.
But then again, with Boo inside me, what do I really have to fear? I'll regrow whatever you remove. Now come, down with your useless techniques and show me what strength you have in that little body.
This outburst and the Godkiller's quick heal, all then triggering a teeth-bearing Die, who would reply, how such a vile creature has come to be on Zeno's and my watch. I shall repent by removing all trace of you! As on foot this time, the two would then run straight forward towards each other now, at full force, ready to seemingly use their fists this time instead of energy attacks. But in reality, once the two would meet, both their arms and hands would interlock, as they both reach an impasse, slamming into one another, still on the spot as they each try to push the other back. You petulant mortal! No matter what you do, you will fall here and now! You vertically challenged God! How about you stop telling me what you're going to do and just do it? And with both with extreme notions of effort and endeavor written all over their faces, both would use their full power. Fine! As immediately, Dai would deliver on Vegito's request, powering up suddenly mid-battle of wills as another cyan triangle would then engrave and begin to glow from his torso before... Behind the Grand Priest, a giant energy apparition, similar to the one Goku used against Moro, would form, but cyan in color and far more powerful, would rise from his aura alone, looking down menacingly at the God Killer. What? Shocking Vegito as he watches the Seraphim Giant tower over him.
Honestly, I'm not even surprised, man. It is an Ultra Instinct ability, right? So
struggling against the smaller Dai on the ground. No! And as the full body of the giant Dai would then separate, it would soon bring about a mind of its own, raising its gigantic and heavy foot off the ground, and then getting ready to squish the God Killer like a mere ant, all before the eyes of the priest. But seeing the tables turned would not go down well with Vegito, who now annoyed would close his eyes and bite his lip, grunting, You aren't making this easy for me, Angel. You don't want me to bring Lucif out, yet you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do! As suddenly, the eyes of the Demon Saiyan would now burst open, and a strange change would begin to take place. And as his left shoulder would begin to inexplicably bulge and tense, the smiling Vegito would say, Man, oh man, the three eyes, the tri-beam. I owe Tien a big hug once I revive him. Here comes another of his amazing techniques. As suddenly, in a horrific scene from Vegito's backside, his skin would stretch out as if something would be escaping from his very body.
Oh, is he doing like the multi-arm technique thing? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Unbelievably from
I totally forgot
Vegito's
Tien
shoulder,
had that ability. He really doesn't use it that much.
Demon arm would burst out with gigantic claws, ready to fight on the God Killer's behalf. Instantly then grabbing onto the
I'm honestly
giant
surprised he didn't
Dai's
make his own
foot,
apparition, honestly.
stopping in its tracks
Thought he was.
there and then. What is going on? Leaving Dai in sheer disbelief and terror as he comes to realize even more of Lucif's power is being extracted. And not only that, but being used to overpower him even further. Oh my god! Another arm! But once more from Zeno, who had never seen such a strange ability, he would be in complete awe as his very pupils would begin to liquefy from the sheer joy. But soon enough, almost begging now like a fiend for his next fix, Zeno would demand more, asking, "I can't bear this anymore! Show me your new form! How many more arms will it have? Can you grow another leg? I need to see!"
Impatient, are we?
To which Vegito, having gained the upper hand now, would then just look to Zeno with a smile and reply,
Fine. Who could look at that adorably little face and say no? Even if you are responsible for the deaths of countless mortals. I will show you, Zeno, but I need that condition of mine done. And what I want is...
Before, with an increased grin and almost salivating as he explains his request, he would finally say,
I want you to summon the dragon god Zalama right here and now.
Okay, I think I heard that name before.
Shocking die and surprising the Omni King.
Isn't that the dude who made the Super
Zeno
Dragon Balls,
would
right?
just mutter, Zalama? Why?
Alright guys, there you guys have it, bro. Zalama, I'm guessing that's Zalama, you guys see right there, right there. I guess that is Zalama, I really don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's all I know about Zalama is, I think he's the guy who made the Super Dragon Balls, right? Like, that's all I pretty much know. That was a nice episode. Like, that was a good, fun episode, I would think. Not as crazy as the one before. So I'm gonna give this one a 9. I'm gonna give this one a solid 9, maybe 8.8. It was definitely a decent episode in my opinion. You know, like it was just a good, decent episode. I really don't have a problem with it at all, right? So let's move on to the next episode. Of course, I guess we're gonna see something with this wish, because I mean, anything that has to do with Dragon Balls and Zalama is probably gonna be a wish, right? So I'll see you guys in the next video. Let's get to it.
So our story continues with us carrying on from the shock request of last chapter from the God Killer Vegito, who had just proclaimed to Zeno that he would only showcase his final form if the dragon god Zalama would be summoned first, with Vegito standing there smirking wildly at the confused Zeno as he remains interlocked with Dai, his second demon arm grabbing onto and pushing back the giant foot of Dai's energy apparition. Zalama? As the quite confused Omni King would then ask, the Dragon God? I haven't seen him in a long time. Now, what does he have to do with your new form anyway? Is it because he's green? Lord Zeno,
right?
do not listen to him! But interrupting their conversation, Dai would then force himself in, not allowing the God Killer to pollute the thoughts of Zeno any further, as he would continue, we gods cannot and do not negotiate with demons! You cannot give in to his demands, my lord. Who knows what evil he has in mind? Do not be confused by his appearance. This creature has been taken over by Lucif himself. He must be sent down to the demon realm immediately. Huh? Again piquing the curiosity of Zeno, and perhaps even causing the childlike god to for once think about his actions a little, as he would look to Vegito and inquire, Lucif, is that true? You're taken over by him now? You don't look very mortal anymore, now that I think about it. To which the snickering Vegito would respond,
Oh, so mortals changing their hair colors and turning into giant apes is all well and good, but grow a little third eye and a giant arm, and now I don't look mortal? Don't be silly, Zeno. I'm guessing you know what Lucif looks like already, and I'm sure you can agree I'm nowhere near as ugly. I am Son Goku and Vegeta fused. I am Vegito. And you can make your excuses, but my cool new form is not coming out
Yeah, cool
until
new
that
form.
damn Zalama is here. Trust me, I can finish this job just the way I am.
As suddenly, in a show of pure force, Vegito would then flex his new third arm and begin pushing back hard on the still stamping down foot of the apparition until...
Now stay down, maggot!
Immediately then disbalancing the giant die as he forcefully then falls straight back, almost in slow motion. Until ultimately, the energy apparition would slam on its back for a massive crash landing.
How did he?
Leaving the Daishinkan now in shock as his eyes dart behind and he would grunt. How could he overpower my Seraphim clone with just one arm? How much of Lucif's power has this fool unleashed? Get back up, you oaf, and...
There he goes!
But before Dai can even completely look behind to command his summoning to regain itself, the apparition would begin fading into nothing, succumbing instantly to just how hard the God Killer had thrusted.
What's wrong, Dai?
Damn,
Seems
his
you're not
apparition
as
faded already.
all-powerful as you thought you were. How dare Zeno even think I would need to transform again for the likes of you? If I do, it will merely be in return for Zalama, not you. What did you say?
As with the priests, all-powerful summon dispatched of so easily, a smirk of pure confidence would emerge on the God Killer's face, as the Grand Priest can only recoil in disbelief at the disrespect until...
What's this beauty hand of yours supposed to do to me anyway?
Whoa!
As suddenly, clenching his demon
Whoa.
hand tight, a loud crack would be heard as the divine angel's entire fist would crunch before...
My hand!
As unleashing a blood-curdling scream to the high heavens, Dai's hand would be revealed to be broken and completely shattered within Vegito's grasp.
Oh, sorry about that. I forget how fragile you are, old man.
As in a flash, the priest would then remove his damaged appendage in haste, wincing as he does so until...
You'll pay for that, demon scum!
As suddenly, as his body would move back on closer inspection of his chest, the upside-down triangle on it, which was before glowing cyan, would now begin to become a flashing white light, increasing in energy and luminescence until... In a fierce comeback of his own, from his chest alone, and
I had a feeling he would do
all-powerful
something like
energy
that,
beam
at least
would
eventually.
strike Vegito at point-blank range, giving him no chance to dodge, sending him flying back with full damage, as he is forced to let go of Dai's other hand as a result too.
You!
And the power of the energy would seem overwhelming to the God Killer, but perhaps most surprisingly would be the manner in which it came out, as Vegito would wonder,
Just how many tricks do you have for me, midget?
eventually being pushed back enough so far away that he would skid on the ground to halt himself. On his chest now, a visible burn of damage from where he was struck. But as Vegito's head would remain ducked and smoke would continue to bellow off his injury, Vegito would begin muttering,
But it's no problem. After all, no matter how many tricks you have, I will have far more!
as lifting his head with a big grin once more, like nothing had just happened, the burn and damage on his torso would completely vanish in tandem also, as with the power of Boo inside him, his body would begin healing instantaneously. And with the God Killer now some distance away from the Daishinkan, Vegito would begin getting up with a laugh.
That was a little too close for comfort, wasn't it, Dai? You just had to bring something out of the bag to get me off, didn't you? Don't worry, I understand what it feels like to fear someone.
Leaving Dai to just mutter under his breath, annoyed at Vegito's quick recovery. Before suddenly, now turning to Zeno again, almost dismissing his true opponent,
maybe without Lucif, I
Vegito
don't think
would
this
then
was
point
impossible,
towards the
but I don't
Omni
know.
King and demand,
Now enough of the stalling! Bring me Zalama! You can see this worm is no challenge for me. This is getting boring, and we need something to spice things up. You want your show to be entertaining, right, Zeno? Lord knows, being cooped up in here, you barely have any fun anyway. How about you live a little and see what happens? I promise, my new form may even have a little green.
huh? Green? Again
Yeah.
catching the childlike creature's simple mind, as he would continue, green? Like green hair? I need to see! Before almost impulsively, Zeno would then raise his hand and proclaim, Dragon God Zalama, creator of the
He brought him
Super
out
Dragon
quick.
Balls,
Wow.
I summon you now! Lord Zeno! No! And with a vicious scream, as if his life depended on it, the Grand Priest would yell out in defiance, hoping his conviction alone would be enough to stop the Omni King giving in to Vegito's demand. But alas, it would all be in vain, as in a giant flash of light, both Dai and a smirking Vegito would be lost in its shine, as standing in the middle, a calm Zeno with no worries at all, and his arm in the air would finally say, Quiet, Dai, he has arrived. Zalama! And shockingly, just like that, a mysterious new figure would emerge on the battlefield before Zeno. His skin green, with pink splotches like a Namekian, even having a similar white hooded garb to one seen by a certain Piccolo, as he would appear to be meditating with his eyes closed, levitating over the ground peacefully, seemingly none the wiser of what is going on. This presence, such power, such evil. What's happened? Before in a flash, Zalama would then open his eyes wide, as if fully awake now, and would soon peer to his left to see who the figure he presumably is sensing is.
Lord Zeno!
As when the dragon god would look into the cold poker face of the toddler god, he would immediately yell out in shock and fear from his sight alone. I must apologize, my lord! How dare I sleep in your presence? Please forgive me! And in a comedic scene, perhaps not how we all thought we would first see the great dragon god, capable of creating Dragon Balls which can grant any wish, we would see Zalama cower in terror, his green face turning blue as he lets go of his mysterious staff while standing before the innocent-looking Omni King. And with his back up and his stance awkward, Zalama would then quickly ask, "What is it you desire, my lord? Anything, just ask." But Zeno, who still would be slightly confused over what it is Vegito even wants, would then reply, "It's okay, I don't mind you sleeping, but I'm not sure why I summoned you actually. I think you should ask him instead."
Okay.
Surprising the Namekian god, as he would calm down, more curious over who Zeno could even be talking about. And as he would slowly turn around to see where Zeno was looking, he would think to himself,
I suppose he means die. But what would the Grand Priest need from me? What in the name of Zeno?
But as Zalama would turn and look at who had requested his presence, he would be overcome by shock. Initially by just the appearance he would see, immediately recognizing a certain demonic entity muttering,
This energy, that arm, Lucif! It cannot be!
He knows, okay.
And this hatred for Lucif, which seems to be shared by all the gods, would then evolve to show pure, unadulterated rage. As with his sharp Namekian teeth now bared, Zalama would let out,
So, this is why I'm here. The great evil has returned. I will protect you with my life, Lord Zeno.
And just like that, ready to put his own life on the line, the Dragon God would instantly get into fighting stance, as Zeno would just comedically mutter behind, "Wait, can you even fight?"
Hold it there, Green Man.
Can you even fight?
But with an angered scowl, not interested in the theatrics, the God Killer would butt in and yell,
You gods just can't help yourself once you see a poor, innocent old mortal, can you? Murder on your mind, always. I expected better of you, Dragon God. I am no Lucif. I am Vegito.
Before Vegito's face would then return to normal, and he would continue,
Exactly what do you think you could do to me anyway? You see me fighting with the damn Grand Priest in front of you, don't you? I could care less to battle with a Namekian who couldn't even make it into the 5 strongest. You're no different to me than Dende, and you're needed for an entirely different purpose.
Before, with a smile, the God Killer would finally reveal...
I need a wish granted, Zalama. A wish that must be done on the orders of Zeno himself. But I want it to only activate when the die Shinken dies. What?
Oh? Leading to all
Why
3
is no
gods then
smile?
reacting in different ways.
Sir, is the-
With Dai completely flabbergasted in his inclusion, muttering, "When I die? Who does he think he is?" And Zalama in pure shock, reacting,
The death of the Grand Priest? Who is this creature? Why is Lord Zeno allowing him to talk like this?
But Zeno, with a curious smile, would just add himself, "So, beating Dai is like a goal, and the prize is your wish? That sounds fun. It's kind of like a game. I like games." Before his face would then turn suddenly cold, and he would continue, "But if I do this, you will show me your final form then, right? I won't do any more, and I don't like liars." But the God Killer, who carries on not worrying whatsoever, would just clench his fist, knowing his plan is seemingly coming to fruition, as he replies,
Liars? What do you take me for, Zen-chan? Would Son Goku ever lie to you? Then you can expect me to be a Saiyan of my word also. Grant me this one wish automatically on the priest's death, and I will show you a form you won't soon forget.
"No! How can you even listen to this foul tripe, my lord? He seeks to kill me, and you seek to reward him in return. I am your angel attendant and sworn protector." But as Dai would turn to Zeno for some semblance of support and guilt over accepting Vegito's wish, calm, Zeno would reply, "Yes, Dai, you are my protector, the one true angel. So how can you really be afraid of losing? You told me you've never lost a fight in your life. You told me that you fighting at full power would be the greatest show I'd ever see." Before now, with an angered look, he would then command, "And I don't like liars, so don't ruin my fun. Don't worry, I wouldn't grant a wish that was selfish, just like I didn't at the tournament. But either way, it won't matter with your strength." And with this said, Zeno would then turn to Vegito and finally ask, "Well, what is your wish then, Vegito?" And now
How's he
completely
laughing
in
like
his
that?
element, finally after all this time able to see an end goal and way back to normality, Vegito would reveal,
Thank you, Zeno. I would never be selfish. I wish for every planet and mortal ever erased by the gods of destruction to be brought back the minute Dai dies.
"What is with this sudden overwhelming confidence that I will die? What is this beast planning? This wish annoying the Grand Priest once more, at least at first, but soon, internally, he would reflect, At least his wish is nothing more than trivial mortal rubbish. Ooh, easy! And Zeno too would be pleased, knowing it was just the kind of wish he would expect from Son Goku, as he would yell to Zalama, "You heard him, Mr. Dragon. Grant this wish as a prize, if he can beat Dai."
My lord!
But in confusion, Zalama would turn quickly back and reply,
But a wish like that would require the dragon of the Super Dragon Balls. They have been used recently at that tournament of yours. They cannot be used again so soon. 1,000 years have not passed. Not unless I...
Do it. I don't care now.
But with cold eyes and finally his impatience showing through, the all-powerful god would show he could care less, staring blankly forward, knowing if the wrong thing is said in response, all hell would break loose.
Then it shall be done, my lord.
And with so much fear in his heart, or perhaps respect, Zalama would not think twice and agree despite his ominous hint over what could happen if a wish is granted too soon. Woo! New form, new form, new form! And in Zeno's childlike mind, all he would be interested in now is the fact Vegito would finally transform, and perhaps show him some green.
Lord Zeno!
But Dai, who would seemingly know what would happen if Zalama makes this wish, would yell out a final time, "You ask too much of our esteemed guest! Do you not know what will happen to the Dragon God if he makes this second wish before its time?"
Don't worry, Dai.
But a sweating Zalama would just smile and try to calm things down, looking at the priest as some kind of old chum perhaps, and saying,
The Omni King knows best. It was an honor to serve, and an honor to grant this
I'm guessing he's gonna
wish.
die. He's gonna use his life
With a
force or
request
something.
of this magnitude, undoing the work of gods, and millennia of their work at that, this will be my end. But I am happy. Goodbye, my friend.
and just like that, with a surprisingly peaceful smile, accepting his fate for the sake of the Omni King, the Dragon God Zalama would place his hands together and call out from within,
Great dragon, arise early from your slumber for the final time.
And as a great power and pressure would begin to build in all the surrounding area around Zalama, in the great language of the gods, Zalama would presumably make the wish Vegito had wanted, and with the same terms he had asked for also. And as the Dragon God would let out a divine yell from the base of his feet, an all-encompassing light would begin to shine that blinds the entire area. Something would be arising, something that would dwarf everything else on the battlefield.
I'm guessing the golden dragon.
And in a
right?
mesmerizing golden scene, the great dragon of the Super Dragon Balls would emerge from Zalama himself, revealing the Namekian god as the true identity of the ultimate wish-granting dragon, as all the warriors on the floor below just watch on in awe. And as the giant creature would wade its wings through the air, leaving the rest of the fighters to watch on like ants in comparison, there would be an eerie silence, as the signature sound of a wish being granted would be sounded out until... in a flash, the great dragon would turn into light itself, and with an insane speed would shoot down straight towards the ground, unclear yet towards who. Before sudden, the entire dragon would dissipate, splitting into two beams, and with how far they've traveled already, the targets would now be clear. As in completely unexpected scenes,
it went to both of them.
They would soon be point blank with the chests of both Dai and Vegito. With such speed, it catches both elite warriors off guard, ready to seemingly pierce through their torsos. And it would be no illusion, as the energy seemingly does make impact and go through the chest of the priest and Godkiller, but perhaps not in the way that would be expected. As unbelievably, when we would then see within the bodies of both Dai and Vegito
what is
their
that?
beating
Is that a heart?
hearts,
Oh,
we
that
would
is a heart,
see
okay.
wrapped around would be two miniature great dragons, roaring and ready to rip apart the heart of whoever is defeated. What is this? And Dai, immediately in touch with his body, and never having experienced such magic, would immediately feel a tightening in his chest, as he would grab on and comment, "Zeno, what have you done?" As the typically unfazed Vegito would just grin as he looks down, realizing the deal is on, as he would let out, "Never have I loved you more, Zeno, than just now. Thank you. Now, I have something more than just revenge to fight for. This is it for you, Dai." But things did not end there, as suddenly from the ground, a giant slab of rock would then emerge and erect itself. Huh? What the devil
What
is
is
that?
happening?
Leading to even more shock among the
Wait,
gods,
isn't that
as in
Zalama
the
right there?
distance, three names would begin to become engraved, along with a bar quickly rising under one of them. And when zoomed in, inexplicably, the three names would be revealed to be Vegito, Dai, and Zeno, with only a full bar for the Godkiller. As Zalama, who at this point is in the middle of fading away to nothingness for eternity, would somehow bravely still maintain his smile, and would explain in his final breaths, "This one is a little addition of my own, to make things more interesting and entertaining for my dear Lord Zeno. Each bar will represent your current power level and life force. When one reaches 0, Zeno's game will be over. Enjoy, and good luck, Dai." Wow! Now it really is like a game! Zalama, you will be remembered as the joyous Omni King.
Hey, how about you just make me live
forever?
forever? How about that?
Sharing
Right?
his final piece of praise for the god in his final moments, even though was ultimately him who ordered himself to sacrifice. But for a moment, Vegito would stare at the strange object, noticing something was off. Before, with a confused look, he would mention,
If that bar is supposed to represent my power level, life force, whatever that green man said, then why the hell is there nothing for Dai or even Zeno? Are they dead already?
But suddenly, as if the board would be listening and reacting, Dai's bar would soon emerge, and not just any, as 2 bars would appear instead of 1, indicating double the power of the God Killer who had just transformed.
What the? This thing must be busted!
Instantly
Yeah,
taking
the
the
thing
God
must be
Killer
busted.
aback as he would wonder what is going on, letting out,
That damn dragon god! If he can't even get our power levels right, who's to say he even got my wish right talking that gibberish? Wait a minute!
But as Vegito would make fun of the late Namekian god, a change in presence and atmosphere in the air would be felt, as he would soon wonder,
Talking of Dai, where is that midget?
but all answers would soon come to the God Killer, as even Vegito would then be frozen, still petrified, sensing a power level spiking in the distance.
Dai!
And when the Saiyan would look around, the one-winged angel would be surrounded in aura, as the ground beneath him begins to deform all over.
Whoa.
This is all your fault, God Killer!
As with an unbridled rage now, filling Dai, seemingly because of the loss of Zalama and his connection with him, the priest's entire body would bulk, swarming with veins, as the cyan symbols on his body would begin to glow brightly. And noticeably, the Dai Shinken's eyes would go blank, removing his seraphim entirely.
What the? When did he?
Leaving Vegito pale in the face as he witnesses a truly ungodly spike in energy that seems to keep going and going, as he would mumble,
That damn angel! Where is he getting this power from? Just when does he reach his limit?
and as Dai would continue to roar out, his aura would begin to resemble a ferocious energy beam, coated in violent white lightning as his ki shoots into the sky. Woo! Go Dai! Go Dai! And like the spectator he is, Zeno would just cheer on, not caring at all that his attendant is only powering up out of anger and sorrow for the death of Zalama. And soon the changes in Dai would become even more pronounced.
I feel like it's like
As
an
his once
enraged
prim and
angel
proper,
state, if that
slick
makes
back
sense.
hair would now blast out, spiked, and finally unleashed. Surrounding him, now a divine ball of energy. Not too dissimilar to the energy barrier we once saw from Z. And from within, his body would continue to bulk as he would continuously yell, pushing the boundaries of his power. His muscles increasing in size and vascularity before his voice would now almost sound demonic itself, grunting, with the intensity of his rage being all too clear now on his facial expression. All coming to a head as he would cataclysmically spread out his arms and lone wing, with the energy ball he was within popping like a seismic water balloon, creating a huge flash of light and destruction that would soon flashbang the entire screen. Now, I understand. As now finished with his transformation, the Grand Priest would be seen, now with his hair white and fully extended, his angel wings sharper in edge, his eyes still blanked in rage, and his muscular body overflowing with energy, as aura and lightning bolts dance around his divine presence. I understand! The only one who can save the gods, save the multiverse, is me! You will pay for slaughtering a god before my eyes! As now looking to Vegito,
that looks crazy, dude.
Spit drooling from his mouth as
almost
he
looks like he's a Super
beast,
Saiyan himself,
the
bro.
great Dai Shinken would no longer be interested in appeasing Zeno. The end game is now here. Wow! Looks like Dai has a new form first. But ironically, despite
that's a
this
new
change
form,
in
huh?
conviction,
Okay.
it would still be the Omni King who is left in profit, completely entertained by this new animal that the priest had become.
Oh, crap!
And even Vegito, seeing Dai like this, would now falter in his confidence, commenting,
Looks like I'm going to have to make good on that promise to Zeno after all. Or at least, come close.
and in what at first looks like a telegraphed and slow motion transition to moving towards Vegito, would soon evolve to speed that is truly unimaginable. As just like the great dragon, Dai would begin moving so fast he appears as pure energy, crashing across the ground, reaching Vegito in an instant, leaving destruction behind. As
That speed!
Vegito, almost like a deer caught in headlights, would be able to do nothing but watch, with no time to even react to what Dai would do next. But in the end, it wouldn't seem like he would have to see much anyway, as within a flash, Dai would now just be behind the God Killer, with Vegito looking behind in confusion, just wondering,
What did you just do? Show off how fast you are? Don't play games with me.
Whoa.
You...
But soon,
what's
Vegito would
happening?
find himself unable to finish his sentence, somehow losing strength part way, as he would then slowly look down and...
What is this?
As shockingly, now left with a gaping hole in his chest, the God Killer would look down with a furiously leaking bloody injury, with now no sign of any internal organs left, perhaps even including his heart.
Wow, guys, there you guys have it, bro. Ultra Vegito got bodied at the end there. He did get bodied, but wow. Okay, I'm I'm gonna rate this one a solid, I think, 8.5. There was definitely a lot of talking at the start, which, you know, obviously makes sense, of course. Zalama, you know, you got his introduction and farewell, unfortunately. Grand Priest, new form. Ooh, I like it. You know, it kind of reminds me of Super Saiyan, even though that's not what it is. I like to call it the Enraged Angel state. I don't know. That's just what I'm gonna call it. Just for fun, right? Yeah, man, we're gonna have to see how Vegeta, like, what new forms he's gonna have to pull out. I'm assuming he's gonna have to, you know, get Lucif's power. You know, a little jump start, I guess. I don't really know, but I guess we'll see, right? I'll see you guys in the next video, so let's just get straight to it.